What is the latest today?
Well, in lieu of a debt restructuring, in lieu of a bond default, in lieu of not paying the bank loan interest next week, in lieu of not being able to pay the bond interest by next Thursday of $84 million US. Oh yes, there's this returns on the wealth management products and the investments to the tune of what, 6.4 billion US, right? 70,000 of these products have been sold to not only investors but employees as well, and of course Evergrande wants to preserve its cash, so they are coming up with options to not give out their cash. Okay, one of the options is 10% in cash every quarter for the next 2.5 years or thereabouts. Not a lot of people want that, okay? They're not necessarily convinced that they're going to get their money back. So the preferred one for Evergrande is, hey, we have all this unfinished properties, right? To the tune of about 3/4 of the floor space in Manhattan. They have these unfinished, construction, residential flats, towers that have not, the construction's been halted. So they're offering now, these investors in the wealth management products, fire sale prices on these properties. 28% fire sale on the residential units, 46% for office space. Hey, you want a parking lot? 52% off, as well as for retail space. So we'll see how this goes. I mean, they want to preserve the cash, so they're offering the assets that they have.
Well, I mean, in the context of a bank, if you think about it, if you're not able to pay back your loan, they simply take back that building that you borrowed the money for, right? And that brings up next week, where you have repayments coming due.
That's right.
It's still critical next week.
Absolutely. I think we're going to be on the Evergrande treadmill next week covering this, because Monday is a key deal, or a key date. Interest payments due on those bank loans, and already the housing ministry and local authorities have warned, we're hearing from sources, have warned the big state banks, don't expect those interest payments next week. Also, nearly $84 million in dollar bond interest due on Thursday as part of $669 million due this year. So, again, this is a story next week perhaps could come to a head. The best case scenario, perhaps a big debt restructuring where local government and even the central government, which has been fairly quiet on this, gets involved. But we cannot rule out, as UBS put out that big note, we cannot rule out a worst case scenario. And that is, a collapse of this company, and that will have contagion, that will have spillover effect. Because look, 130 banks have exposure to Evergrande, 132 non-bank institutions have exposure. There's all these partners, and it's going to be a trickle-down effect. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Confidence as well.